research published by the Watchdog organization showing that ads for prominent brands routinely appeared next to anti-Semitic and white supremacist posts. Media Matters published their findings a day after Musk endorsed a tweet that upheld an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. An advertising exodus ensued, with numerous companies rethinking their spending on X, formerly known as Twitter. Musk's lawsuit alleges that Media Matters is trying to sabotage the platform's relationships with its advertisers and demands the organization take the article off its website. The lawsuit also claims the juxtaposed images were manufactured and not what users typically saw on the platform. In a statement, Media Matters president Angela Corazon called the lawsuit frivolous and an attempt to bully X's critics into silence. Angela joins us now. Angela, I've been wanting to talk with you about this all week. I gave a very brief recap of Elon Musk's lawsuit. What did I miss?
I mean, I think the thing that's important to note, and you sort of got there, was that he's certainly not suing us for publishing anything that they say is false. In fact, their own complaint acknowledges that everything that we reported was accurate, that the things appeared exactly as the way that we said, that ads were running alongside Nazi content. The thing that I would just emphasize is that this was one report of many that we've been publishing over months, and they all sort of illustrate the same issue, which might help explain why they're having trouble with advertisers, in addition to Elon Musk's own behavior, is that they promised a suite of new ad tools that were supposed to prevent these things from happening. So they've sort of given up the idea that their platform is going to be a safe haven for Nazis and pro-Hitler content. And what they've basically been telling advertisers is, don't worry, even though the toxicity has gotten worse on our platform, we have special tools that will make sure that you never get embarrassed. And so all of these reports basically illustrate one thing, that the mechanisms that they say exist to prevent ads from running alongside pro-Nazi content are not working the way that they claim. And I think that's the important thing here, is that fundamentally, and they acknowledge it, the ads did run, as we said, and so have a lot of other ads in the same way, as you've seen all reporting, not just from us. NBC's been making the same reports.
You will understand the spirit in which I asked this question, Angelo, which is, if you don't care about Media Matters and you don't really care about X, why should you care about what is unfolding?
Listen to this.
I think the thing that's worth considering is two things. One, the way in which where they filed the lawsuit, they sort of chose a jurisdiction that was going to be maximally beneficial for them, which I sort of understand. But when you consider that this lawsuit is actually part of a series of things that they're doing at the same time. So, taking up Stephen Miller's recommendation to enlist Republican attorney generals to sort of run parallel to Elon Musk's lawsuit, investigations and other attempts to criminally punish Media Matters for reporting the thing that was accurate about X in retaliation, that's where you start to have to worry about what does this mean for the future? Because Elon Musk took that call from Stephen Miller, obviously put a bunch of money into the litigation, but then said, yeah, who's game to do this? And state attorney generals, so a few of them took up the mantle and started running with these investigations. So why should people care? Because it's sort of a small window into the future where you can basically retaliate and punish media outlets, media properties for reporting accurate things simply because you don't like them. And not only will those outlets suffer, the real effect is that most places are gonna stop doing things that might get them in trouble like this, because they just don't want to deal with the consequences, or it has a chilling effect. So that's what people should care, because it's sort of the next iteration of a little bit of an authoritarian slide and a stifling of good information now.
Do you think that the exodus of advertisers holds?
Yes, I do. And I think that a big contributing factor to that is that Elon Musk's own behavior.
This part.
Which, as you noted in your intro, he didn't just engage with a anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, the Great Replacement theory, that somehow Jews in America are funding mass immigration in order to dilute white power. He responded by saying the actual truth. It's very hard to say, oh, I was just interacting with it, you're misinterpreting it. And the reason, so I think his own conduct helps reinforce why the advertiser exodus stays, because what it shows is that what it shows to advertisers and prospective business partners is a lens through which they can think through all the things happening on X. And so they say, well, why does it seem like there's so much more Nazi content? Why does it seem like the platform is getting more extreme? Why does it seem like the tools they're promising us, the brand safety tools, are not working the way that they should?
Listen.
It's because when you look at it through the lens of the key decision maker there, Elon Musk, she doesn't really see a problem, at least seemingly, with a lot of this content, because it's also a reflection of his own worldview. So if you're a business person, or you're an advertiser, you're saying, oh, this just isn't worth the brand risks to be associated with something where the rot goes all the way to the top.
I've got about a minute left, but I do want to ask you, Angelo, everything that you were saying, right, about the platform itself, about the role that GOP attorneys general are playing in carrying Musk's water, why it matters when you're 11 months out from an increasingly consequential presidential election.
I mean, that's really the key factor here, is that, you know, X and Twitter, all these social media platforms play a role in our information ecosystem, an increasing role. And even though X has had a diminished, you know, presence since Elon Musk took it over, it still provides, at this point, a safe haven for extremists and disinformation. Its algorithms allow for recommendations for connecting power on the fringes. And that's so much that ties in with the Republican strategy, which is to build power, political power, on what used to be considered the fringes. And so if you can take a platform like X, and you can not just have it not working or cater to anti-Semitism, extremism, hate, disinformation, but you could turn those tools to facilitate and support that worldview and that ideology, to help build power. That's where the consequences really start to become magnified. So it's far beyond X. It actually provides a beachhead and a launch pad for disinformation, for extremism, that will be directly tied into not just people's civic participation in elections, but then the aftermath. And we saw how consequential that was last election cycle.
That's why, even if you are not an X user, you need to care. Angelo Corazon, as always, thank you so much for joining us.